There was once a young woman who used to sit by her window every evening, watching the sunset. She used to think, one day someone will come, someone will notice my worth, lift me up, and make my dreams come true. But days turned into months, and months into years. No one came one day. She stood up, looked at herself in the mirror, and said, "Why am I waiting for someone else to build my dreams when I have the hands, the heart, and the hope to build them myself?" That way, something shifted. She stopped waiting and started building. Life has a funny way of teaching us. When you stop waiting for permission, you start creating your own possibilities. Waiting can be noble, but only when it's waiting with purpose. Waiting for the right moment is wise. Waiting for someone else to do your part is surrender. There comes a time when a woman, or anyone, must rise and say, "I will not wait for a miracle. I will become one." She no longer waits for validation. She validates herself through her actions. She no longer waits for opportunity. She crafts it with resilience. She no longer waits for the world to notice. She shines so bright that the world can't ignore her anymore. Building doesn't mean she's hard or heartless. It means she's learned the art of gentle strength. She builds with compassion, with grace, with courage, one brick of belief at a time. So, to every person listening today, maybe you've been waiting too. Waiting for the perfect time. Waiting for the right people. Waiting for a sign. There's a moment in everyone's life when they realize they've been waiting too long. Waiting for the perfect time. Waiting for the perfect plan. Waiting for the perfect person to show up and somehow make everything fall into place. And while we wait, the world keeps moving. Opportunities pass quietly. Dreams begin to fade. Not because they're impossible, but because they were placed on hold for too long. We often tell ourselves, "I'm not ready yet." But here's the truth: readiness rarely comes first. Courage does. Readiness is what follows when you take that first trembling step. Imagine a woman sitting by her desk, staring at the blank page of her dream. The business idea, the book, the project, the plan. She whispers, "One day, when I'm more confident, when things are calmer, I'll begin." Months pass, then years. And one day she looks back and realizes that life never really got calmer. It just kept offering her small windows of time to begin, and she kept waiting for a better one. We are taught to be patient, and yes, patience is noble. But patience without action becomes procrastination dressed as virtue. Waiting endlessly for ideal conditions is like waiting for the ocean to stop moving before you set sail. The sea will never be still, but you can still learn to steer. When you stop waiting and start building, you shift your energy from someday to today. You stop being a spectator of your life and become the architect of it. And that's a powerful transformation, because when you build, even if you build slowly, even if you build clumsily, you are moving forward. Progress doesn't always look grand. Sometimes it looks like small bricks being placed every day with quiet persistence. The world remembers the builders, not the waiters, the ones who dared to start with little, who made something out of nothing. Every empire began with one person who decided to stop waiting for support, approval, or perfection, and instead began laying the first stone. And it's not just about external building, not just careers, businesses, or projects. It's about building your inner world, building resilience when life knocks you down, building clarity when everything feels confusing, building peace when the noise around you is too loud. You can't control the storm, but you can build a shelter. You can't control the world's pace, but you can build your rhythm. When we wait for the world to give us permission, we silently hand over our power. But when we build, we take it back, brick by brick, choice by choice. You don't need a perfect beginning. You just need the courage to begin. The path reveals itself to the builder, not the observer. So start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Don't wait for the right moment. Make this moment right by acting in it. The time will never be just right, but you can be ready enough. Every great change begins when someone decides that waiting is no longer an option. And when that decision comes from you, the builder awakens and life starts to move with you, not just around you. There comes a time when a person realizes that no one is coming to hand them the life they dream of. That realization is not meant to make you sad. It's meant to make you strong. It's the beginning of a new kind of freedom, the freedom that comes from relying on yourself. For a long time, many of us are taught that strength lies in having support, in finding someone who can guide us, lift us, or walk beside us. And yes, companionship is beautiful, but the foundation must always be your own strength. Because if your happiness depends entirely on others, you will always live in fear of losing it. Self-reliance doesn't mean isolation. It doesn't mean you stop loving, stop connecting, or stop trusting. It means you stop depending on others for your sense of worth. It means you learn to stand tall even when no one claps for you, and to keep walking even when the road feels lonely. Think of a young artist who keeps waiting for people to appreciate her work before she believes she's talented. Each day she paints, hoping for validation. But the more she waits for praise, the more her creativity feels like a burden. Then one day, something changes. She decides to paint because it brings her joy, not because someone else approves. That day, her art becomes alive. Her strokes become bolder, her colors brighter. When she stopped needing permission, she discovered her true expression. That's what self-reliance does. It transforms your energy from, "Please notice me," to "This is who I am." When you no longer depend on others to confirm your value, you move from seeking to shining. The truth is, no one understands your journey as deeply as you do. People may support you, but they can never carry you through your entire path. Every person has their own mountain to climb. And while it's comforting to have company, you must still take each step yourself. When you rely on your own strength, your climb becomes steadier. You stop fearing who stays or leaves because your balance no longer depends on them. Self-reliance also means taking responsibility for your choices, your reactions, and your growth. It's easy to say, I'm not happy because of them, or I failed because no one helped me. But true power begins when you say, even if no one helps me, I will help myself. That mindset changes everything. You become unstoppable. Not because the world becomes easier, but because you become stronger in There's a quiet confidence in people who have learned to rely on themselves. You can feel it, the calmness, the clarity. They don't rush for attention or panic when things don't go their way. They've built a deep trust in their own ability to adapt, to rebuild, to rise again. When you're self-reliant, you stop chasing validation and start attracting respect. Because people respect those who stand firmly on their own feet. You inspire others not by what you say, but by how you carry yourself, with quiet conviction and unshakable peace. Remember, even the tallest trees stand alone. They don't lean on others to grow. They dig their roots deep and stretch towards the sky. Be that way. Grow your roots in self-belief so deep that no storm can uproot you. Then, even when the winds of doubt blow, you'll stand tall, not because the world supports you, but because you've learned to support yourself. There's a beautiful kind of waiting, and then there's a painful kind. One gives peace, the other steals it. The difference between the two is not time, it's intention. When you wait with purpose, you're patient, calm, and quietly preparing. When you wait in fear, you're restless, anxious, and silently doubting yourself. Life often asks us to wait. We wait for opportunities, for love, for healing, for clarity. But the kind of waiting we choose defines who we become during the process. Purposeful waiting is active. It's not idle time, it's growth time. It's the kind of waiting where you plant seeds and tend to them, trusting that in the right season, they'll bloom. Fearful waiting, on the other hand, is standing by the soil, staring at it, worrying if anything will ever grow. There's a story of a young woman who dreamed of becoming a writer. She sent her work to publishers and waited for a response. Every day she checked her email, her heart filled with nervous hope. Weeks turned into months. The waiting became torture. Maybe I'm not good enough, she thought. One day, instead of checking her inbox again, she sat down and wrote another story and another. She decided that her waiting would not be empty. Years later, it wasn't the first manuscript that made her successful, but the one she wrote while she was waiting. That's the difference. Waiting with purpose doesn't paralyze you, it prepares you. You use that time to refine your skills, strengthen your spirit, and build resilience. It's like the silence before a symphony. It's not the absence of sound, but the anticipation of something beautiful. Fearful waiting, however, is heavy. It's like sitting in a dark room, watching the clock tick, hoping something outside will rescue you. It drains your energy because it's rooted in doubt. The fear that nothing will happen, that you'll be forgotten, that life will pass you by. But the truth is, nothing meaningful ever grows in fear. Growth happens in faith. When you wait with purpose, you trust the process. You understand that delay is not denial. Just because something isn't happening now doesn't mean it's not happening at all. There's wisdom in timing, and sometimes life is simply aligning you with what you're meant for But in that time, you must not remain idle. The universe moves with those who move with it. Purposeful waiting teaches patience, but it also teaches preparation. It reminds you that every great story has chapters of silence, where the hero is not fighting dragons, but gathering strength. Those are sacred seasons, moments of unseen growth. The seed doesn't fear the darkness of the soil. It knows that even in that hidden place, it is becoming something more. Similarly, when you wait with purpose, you are not stuck. You are sprouting something within you is developing, your clarity, your courage, your calm. So when life asks you to wait, don't fill that time with fear. Fill it with faith and work. Don't say, nothing's happening. Say, something's preparing, because that's the truth. The wait is not wasted when your purpose is alive within it. You may not always control when things happen, but you can always control how you wait. And that makes all the difference between feeling powerless and feeling prepared, between waiting in fear and waiting in purpose. Many people go through life waiting for a miracle, a sudden breakthrough, a helping hand, a turn of fate that changes everything. They pray, they hope, they whisper to the universe, when will my miracle come? But what if the miracle you're waiting for is not something outside you? What if it's something within you? What if life is not withholding miracles from you, but waiting for you to become one? We often imagine miracles as grand, magical events, the impossible suddenly made possible. But in truth, miracles often look ordinary. They appear in the quiet decisions to keep going when quitting would be easier, in the courage to rise again after being broken, in the kindness shown when no one is watching. A miracle is not always about changing the world around you. Sometimes it's about changing the world within you. There was once a woman who spent years waiting for her circumstances to improve. She told herself, when things get better, I'll start living. When life gives me a chance, I'll shine. But life kept testing her. A job loss, a betrayal, a heartbreak. One morning, exhausted from waiting, she looked in the mirror and said, I can't keep waiting for something to save me. Maybe I was meant to save myself. That was the day everything changed. Not because the challenges disappeared, but because she changed. She began to act, not react. She stopped waiting for light and became the source of it. She became the miracle she had been waiting for. Being the miracle you seek doesn't mean you stop asking for help or believing in divine grace. It simply means you recognize that the same force that creates miracles also lives inside you. You become an instrument of that grace through your choices, your effort, and your courage. Too often, we underestimate the power we hold. We think miracles are reserved for the chosen few, saints, sages, or the lucky ones. But every single person who has ever made a difference began with a simple realization: I can do something about this. It could be a mother working tirelessly to give her children a better life a teacher who believes in a struggling student, or a person who forgives instead of retaliating. Those are miracles, quiet, human, divine. When you decide to be the miracle, your energy shifts. You stop asking, why isn't someone fixing this? And start asking, what can I do right now? You stop waiting for inspiration and start creating it. You stop waiting for hope and become a source of it for others. And the most beautiful part, when you become a miracle for someone else, life often sends a miracle your way too, not as a reward, but as a reflection. The world is full of people waiting for love, for peace, for a sign. But the truth is, the world doesn't need more people who wait. It needs people who act with love, speak with peace, and live as signs of hope. Sometimes, the smallest step you take can be someone else's answered prayer. The smile you give, the encouragement you offer, the example you set, these are the quiet miracles that keep humanity alive. So if you've been waiting for something extraordinary to happen, maybe this is the moment to look inward and realize the extraordinary was always inside you. You don't need to find a miracle. You just need to become one. There's a certain peace that comes when you no longer need to be seen to feel significant. For a long time, many people live in the shadow of others' opinions, chasing approval, applause, and acknowledgement. We dress a certain way, speak a certain way, and even dream a certain way, all in the hope that someone will finally say, "You're enough." But true validation, the kind that lasts, does not come from the world outside. It comes from the quiet confidence within. From childhood, we're conditioned to seek praise. A good grade earns a smile, a trophy earns applause, and kind words make us feel valued. But as we grow, life doesn't always offer medals for effort. There are times when you give your best and no one notices. Times when your kindness goes unseen, your hard work unappreciated, your growth uncelebrated. It's in those moments that your relationship with yourself is tested. Do you stop believing in your worth because others didn't recognize it? Or do you stand tall? Knowing your value doesn't decrease just because someone else failed to see it. There was once a woman who poured her heart into every project she took on. She worked late nights, sacrificed comfort, and gave her all, but no one seemed to notice. Her boss didn't compliment her effort. Her family didn't understand her dedication. And slowly, she began to doubt herself. One day, while walking home, she looked up at the night sky, endless vast and silent. The stars weren't asking anyone to notice them. They simply shone because that's what they were made to do. That night, she decided to do the same, to shine regardless of who's watching. Validation from others is fragile. It shifts with moods, preferences, and misunderstandings. One day people may cheer for you, the next they may criticize you. If your sense of worth depends on that, you'll live your whole life on shaky ground. But when you learn to validate yourself, when you can look in the mirror and say, I am proud of who I am becoming, you build a foundation no one can shake. Self-validation doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean you stop caring about feedback or connection. It means you stop depending on it to feel whole. It's knowing that praise is pleasant but not necessary, that criticism may hurt but cannot define you. It's the quiet strength of doing what feels right even when no one claps. The truth is, the world often overlooks those who are still building. It doesn't always see your process, only your results. So if you base your self-worth on recognition, you'll always feel behind. But if you base it on integrity, on how honestly you show up each day, you'll always feel enough. When validation comes from within, you stop performing and start living. You make choices that align with your peace, not people's opinions. You walk with a calm confidence that says, I know who I am, and I am proud of my journey, even if no one else understands it. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop chasing validation, people start noticing you naturally because nothing shines brighter than someone who is comfortable in their own skin. Authenticity has a quiet magnetism. It draws respect, not by demand, but by example. So, let the world take its time to notice. Keep showing up. Keep growing. Keep shining like the stars that light the sky, not because anyone's watching, but because that's what they were born to do. Strength and grace are often seen as opposites. We're told that to be strong, we must be hard. To protect ourselves, we must grow walls. But real strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it breathes softly. It's calm in the face of chaos, kind in moments of conflict, and patient when everything inside you wants to rush. That is grace, strength dressed in gentleness. When you're building something, a dream, a career, a relationship, a better version of yourself, the process will test you. People may misunderstand your intentions, delays may shake your faith, and disappointments may make you question your path. It's easy to respond with frustration or bitterness. But building with grace means you learn to respond differently. It means you carry strength in one hand and compassion in the other. You fight your battles, yes, but you never lose your humanity in the process. There's a story of a woman who started her own business from nothing. She faced rejection after rejection, and people often doubted her ability. One day, after another failed pitch, she smiled and said, "It's all right. They don't see it yet." Her friend asked, "How do you stay so calm?" She replied, because I'd rather lose with peace than win with anger. That's grace. The ability to keep your heart clean while walking through the mud. Building with grace doesn't mean you let people walk over you. It means you know your worth so deeply that you don't have to shout it. It means you can walk away from what doesn't serve your peace without bitterness. It means you can correct others without humiliation and lead without ego. When you build with grace, you stop measuring success only by outcomes. You begin to measure it by the way you built, by your patience, your humility, and your ability to stay kind even when life wasn't kind to you. Because the truth is, every building, no matter how tall, eventually fades. But the manner in which you built it stays as your legacy. The world may praise speed, power, and victory, but it quietly admires grace. It's the quality that makes strength beautiful, leadership humane, and ambition pure. Grace turns struggle into wisdom, mistakes into lessons, and pain into poetry. It teaches you that progress without peace is not success, it's exhaustion. Sometimes, grace means staying silent when your ego wants to argue. Sometimes, it's forgiving when you have every reason not to. Sometimes, it's simply getting up again after failure without blaming anyone. Grace is not weakness, it's maturity. It's understanding that you don't have to match someone's chaos with your calm. Your calm is what disarms the chaos. When you build with grace, your path becomes lighter. You don't waste your energy proving yourself to those who will never understand. You simply keep building with integrity, with patience, with love. And somehow, in the quiet beauty of that process, everything begins to align. The foundation of anything meaningful is not just hard work, it's heart work. Grace is that heart work. It's what makes your growth gentle, your power peaceful, and your journey worthy of remembrance. Because in the end, it's not just about what you built, it's about who you became while building it. Every great builder, every dreamer, every achiever has one thing in common. They have all met failure. And they've all learned to shake its hand instead of running from it. Failure isn't a wall meant to stop you. It's a door meant to redirect you. It's not there to punish you, but to polish you. The only problem is that most of us see failure as a full stop when it was only meant to be a comma. There was once a woman who started a small project she was deeply passionate about. She poured her heart, her time, and all her energy into it. But the project didn't succeed. People whispered she failed. For a while, she believed them. She withdrew, questioned her ability, and almost gave up. But one evening, while cleaning her workspace, she noticed her old notes, her early ideas, full of excitement and clarity. As she read them, she realized something powerful. Failure didn't mean she wasn't capable. It simply meant she wasn't done yet. That day, she began again, wiser, calmer, and stronger. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's a vital part of it. Every lesson learned through failure becomes the foundation of your strength. The cracks that failure leaves behind are not signs of weakness. They're openings for wisdom to enter. If success is the fruit, failure is the soil it grows in. The truth is, no one escapes failure. Even the most brilliant minds, the most successful leaders, and the most inspiring figures have stumbled, not once, but many times. The difference between them and those who gave up wasn't luck. It was their relationship with failure. They didn't treat it as a verdict. They treated it as feedback. They asked, "What is this teaching me?" instead of, "Why me?" When you build something meaningful, you will fall. The walls you raise may collapse. The plans you made may not unfold the way you imagined. But failure is not the end of your story. It's a chapter of becoming. Each time you fail, something within you grows: humility, patience, and resilience. These are the invisible tools that no school or mentor can teach, but failure does perfectly. Failure also humbles the heart. It teaches compassion because once you've tasted it, you learn to be gentler with others who are struggling. It teaches perspective because once you've fallen and risen, you understand that every success story has hidden bruises behind it. Sometimes, failure saves us from roads that weren't meant for us. Sometimes it redirects us toward paths that align better with our truth. What feels like rejection is often redirection. What feels like loss can be life's way of clearing the space for something greater to grow. So when you fail, don't rush to erase it or hide it. Sit with it, study it, let it teach you. You may not realize it now, but each failure is shaping the builder within you. It's teaching you how to construct stronger foundations, how to choose better materials, not in your buildings, but in your beliefs. The most successful people aren't those who never failed. They're those who never stopped building after they did. Because every time you rise after falling, you're not starting from zero. You're starting from experience. Failure is not a dead end. It's an initiation into strength, wisdom, and true self-belief. The only real failure is refusing to try again. Everything else is just construction in progress. When we think of greatness, we often picture the finished building, the towering success, the applause, the moment of victory. But we forget that what looks like an overnight miracle was actually built slowly, one brick at a time. Every brick, every effort, every small act of persistence matters, even the ones no one sees. There's once a woman who dreamed of building her own school for children in her village. She had no funds, no support, only a vision. Each day, she saved a little from her modest income. She collected old books, taught a few children under a tree, and kept dreaming. People laughed and said, "What difference will this make?" Years passed, and her small group of children became hundreds. One morning, she stood in front of a real building, a school made of cement and sweat, but more importantly, made of every small effort she refused to dismiss. Every brick counted. In life, it's easy to get impatient. We want results, and we want them quickly. We look at others' success and wonder, when will it be my turn? But growth doesn't always happen in leaps. Most of it happens in quiet, invisible ways. The seeds you plant today, the effort you make, the discipline you practice, the small kindness you show may not bloom immediately, but they're all part of the foundation being laid beneath your feet. Every brick counts, the ones placed with joy and the ones laid through tears. The early mornings when you rise despite exhaustion, the late nights when you keep going despite doubt, the times you choose to stay kind when bitterness felt easier, they all matter. Because greatness is not built in a day, it is built daily. The truth is, most of the meaningful things in life are built slowly. Love, trust, character, purpose, none of these can be rushed. Each one requires consistent effort. Sometimes we underestimate the value of small beginnings because we only see the distance left, not the ground already covered. But if you keep laying your bricks, one day you look back and realize that your persistence has built something unshakable. There will be days when progress feels invisible. You'll question whether the small things you're doing even matter. But remember, the walls of every strong structure are held together not by the large stones, but by the tiny ones in between. Your small daily actions are the glue of your growth. They create momentum, character, and confidence. In every conversation where you choose understanding over anger adds a brick. Every time you forgive instead of resent, you add another. Every moment you keep faith, when everything feels uncertain, you're building higher. It may not look like much today, but your consistency is your construction. The beauty of building is that it rewards patience. No effort made in sincerity is ever wasted. Even if no one notices your progress, life does. Even if no one claps, the foundation grows stronger beneath your feet. Because every single brick, every small step forward, counts toward the life you are creating. So, build slowly if you must, but build steadily. Don't underestimate the quiet power of daily effort. You may not see the full picture yet, but one day you'll stand before what you've built, your strength, your peace, your purpose, and you'll realize that it wasn't the grand gestures that made it possible. It was the small, steady, faithful placement of every single brick